Hi everyone, this is a video tutorial for lab number 7. In this lab we continue working with AutoCAD Electrical 2014, and the required task is to recreate a number of PLC automation drawings. As we can see here, this first drawing is for power supply to the PLCs. And we have PLC inputs, ladder schematic, and we have PLC output module with output devices, and then bill of materials. So this first tutorial, we're just going to do basic setting up of the project and the various drawings. As we can see here, what you need to submit to D2L Dropbox are 4 items. Your completed project folder in compressed format, and then batch plot to PDF for cover sheet, power supply drawing, digital inputs for the PLC and digital outputs for the PLC, and finally the bill of materials. Same as you see attached to this lab instructions. And then you need to also demonstrate one of the drawings and submit the drawing file that you have demonstrated plus PDF file, and don't forget to obtain electronic sign off from your instructor. So here are the drawings that we need to recreate. Of course, this is the cover sheet with your name and everything as you've done before. This should be lab 7, and this is the power supply drawing as we've just seen before, and so forth. So I've just started AutoCAD, and notice also in the specifications you need to call your project lab 7, your name ID EG1230. So I'm going to start a new project and call it that. I already have a similar name, so I'm just going to call this number 2. Make sure location is in the Z drive, in a place where you can easily locate. So in my case, I have a folder for lab 7, and this is good, and we'll call it OK. And now we'll say OK properties. We need to enter a few things. So we need to enter spacing of 1.2 and run width of 7, and we need to also use sheet numbers in hexagons. So I'm going to go drawing format, width of 7, spacing of 1.2. We're not using any vertical wires, but if you wish you can also make this 1.2. and then here in format referencing we go setup and go sheet number in hexagon, sheet and numbers in hexagon. Say OK and OK, and that sets up the project folder. Now I need to add the cover sheet, so I'm going to go here and we'll say go to the folder first. You need to place the cover sheet that we have provided previously. So here's the cover sheet. I'm going to copy it, Control C, place it in this folder, and then go to AutoCAD, right click, add drawing. I'll put the cover sheet in. Yeah, you can say yes or no here because it's just a cover sheet. It's asking you whether you want to use the project settings on that drawing, which is okay. You can say yes or no. Double click, and there is the cover sheet, and I'm ready to do the next drawings. So we need another set of 4 drawings. Okay, so go right click, new drawing, and we'll call this power supply. We'll call this sheet 1. Make sure this is pointing to AutoCAD electrical. And that's good. We'll just say OK. Okay, double click the wheel. Nav cube off. Delete layout 2. And call this power supply. Right click. Page setup manager. Modify. Adobe PDF. A4 size. And everything is fine. OK. Close. And set the page or the viewport as before. Go to model space, double click the wheel, zoom extent, turn off grid, nav cube off. Let's create another layer. Viewport, and we'll move. Okay, go paper space first. Choose the viewport. Move the viewport to viewport layer, and then escape to go back to the current layer and turn off viewport so that it does not print. Okay, right click and we'll go new drawing. The next drawing is PC digital inputs, PLC digital inputs, and this is sheet number 2. You can go OK properties. We don't need to, because every drawing will inherit the properties that you have set up for the project, but you can check them if you want, and there are the settings that we have previously chosen. So we don't need this. We'll go again, double click the wheel, center, have cube off, delete layout 2, and do the same thing for layout 1, Adobe PDF, A4, and OK, close, adjust the viewport, okay, create a layer, go to viewport or my view, and let's move the viewport to that new layer. Okay, let's escape, click the wheel, let's try again. There is viewport, move it to viewport, escape, turn viewport off so that the frame does not print. Now go back to model space, double click the wheel, zoom extend, nav cube off, and then grid off. Okay, it's a good idea to save as you're creating these drawings, just in case things don't work or something happens while you're creating these drawings. Okay, the next drawing is PLC digital outputs. So right click, new drawing, PLC digital outputs. This is sheet number 3. OK. Double click the wheel. Nav cube off. Layout 2 delete. Right click, page setup manager. Basically repeating the same thing as before. Adobe PDF, A4, and OK. Close. Okay, adjust the viewport. So all of this is preparation work before you start the actual drawings. Okay, let's create another layer. We'll call it viewport. Okay, and paper space, choose, move it to viewport, escape to go to current layer, and then turn off viewport. Double click to go to model space, double click the wheel, zoom extend, turn off the grid, nav cube off, and save. And one last one, new drawing. This is going to be BOM, and sheet number 4. Double click the wheel, nav cube off, layout 2 delete, right click, page setup manager, Adobe PDF A4, and OK, close, adjust, and then escape, create a new layer, choose the viewport, move it to the new layer, escape to go to current, turn off the layer viewport so it doesn't print, left double click and zoom extend. Let's go back to paper space, double click the wheel to zoom extend, again model space, turn off the grid, nav cube off, and save. Go paper space again if you want. Save. Now, as you will see later on, we're going to be using some annotative text. So it's a good idea to set up a viewport scale of 1 to 3. So say custom add 1 to 3. Make sure you set this to 3 because that's where the scale is set. This is only a name or a label. Okay, okay, and you can actually now, so you can see it's quite suitable for this drawing. You don't lock it now, or you can lock it because it really doesn't matter because you're going to be drawing inside this area. You can also turn off the grid if you want, and again, it's a good idea to periodically save your project sheet. This of course should say, let's go paper space, this should say 7, and of course put your name and submission date and so forth, and save. Go to here and let's go to create the same scale as before, 1 to 3, 3, OK, and then OK, and choose it. And now you can lock it, save. Custom add 1 to 3, so it's 3, OK, OK, choose it, and lock, save. BOM, we don't need to set any scale, and that basically completes the setting up of the project files and the various basic settings required. And now we can start working with the actual drawings, which is the subject of the next tutorial. In fact, let us do a few more settings that we need according to the lab instructions. It says here fill the title block, so let's do that and get it out of the way and set these wire types. So I'm going to start with the power supply here. Notice that this has already been, some of them have been entered correctly, some of them have not been entered correctly. So what we're going to do is we're going to double click, and the first drawing, you can also take a look at the accompanying instructions right here. This is what we need to fill in. PLC automation, leave a blank line, power supply, schematics. So the total number of sheets should be 4. So number of sheets should be 4. And title 1, to look for title 1. And this is going to say PLC automation, PLC automation. And then we're going to leave title 2 blank and go to title 3. And it should say power supply. And then the next title is schematic, title 4. Okay, under engineer, NA for not applicable. And then checked by instructor. Job number EG1230 lab 7. And drawn by name and ID. That's your name and your ID. Okay, scale not applicable. N/A. And then submission date for date. Okay, and then job number CNAQ EG1230, and then your section number. So if you're section 1, you would write 1. If you're section 2, you write 2. Sorry, if you're section 5 or section 7. Okay, and we're done. We'll just say, of course, now we need to be concerned about locations and make sure that everything is within the boundaries. So you can see that this is slightly outside the boundary. So we double click it and go to text options and make this maybe 0.15, and that looks good. Let's just say okay. This one, we can take this handle, pull it back. That looks good. Same thing with this. Okay, that looks good. Now this is complete. Make sure to save again periodically. And instead of having to do each one of them individually, what I'm going to do is, and I suggest this is a good idea, is to click on the title block, and once you see the handles and everything is sort of grayed out or highlighted, go Control C for copy, go to the next drawing, choose the title block, delete it, and then paste and type 0,0, and you need to only change a few things. Now, everything is here. Now, of course, this is sheet 2. This sheet number 2. Right, and the drawing should say PLC input ladder. For You can say OK and just double click on whatever you want to change. PLC input ladder. You can say OK and double click on schematic and just delete it. OK, double click the wheel, save, and move to the next one. Oh, by the way, we can also, now this one, we can choose to copy this and then move it to here, model space, choose the title block, delete and paste, 0, 0. And then this should be sheet number 3. And this should be PLC output ladder. Out. Double click the wheel, save, BOM, model space, or model tab, click, delete, paste, 0, 0, enter. And now this should say bill of materials and sheet number 4. And that looks good. Okay, again save. And let's go back to power supply and go to schematic and set new wire types according to the lab instructions. We need to set these for layers. So I can right click and rename this to 240 volts AC. Wire color is red. Color is red. And thickness of 0.4. Okay. And then the next one is going to be neutral. Click again. Neutral. And this is white, which will actually print as black. So color, white is okay. Line weight, 0.4. Then 24 volts DC, 24 volts DC, and this is orange, color 40, and line weight of 0.2. Okay, and the next one is 0 volts DC, color is blue, and have to choose blue because that's just a label. Thickness of 0.2 or line weight. And the last one is control, output control. And this is brown. Color is 24. And line weight is 0.2. Okay. And that's it. Just say OK, make sure you save. Now we go to the next drawing, and instead of having to create all of these again, we'll just say import from power supply, open, and there they are. We'll just say OK. And notice that the wire colors are not, at least the codes are not imported, but the actual wire colors are imported, and this also kept wires. So 240 volts AC, you'll see that it's still red, all this, and the line weights are still there. Okay, save. We'll do the same for the outputs. Wire names, import, power supply, okay, and save. And that pretty much sets up, finishes the setting up of all the requirements, and we can start with the power supply drawing in the next tutorial.